Good afternoon, members. Welcome to this Standing Committee meeting for Education. Members, I will ask you to please all mute your microphones at this point. And I want to indicate to you that please use the hand raise function if you need the chair's attention, or use the chat bar if you need the chair's attention. And when you have the opportunity to speak, you may turn on your video as well as your microphone. And then please ensure that after you have spoken that you turn off both your video and your microphone. I want to also welcome everybody else who is on this platform, who is joining this meeting. My name is Lorraine Botha. I'm the chairperson for this Standing Committee of Education. I will now ask all members to please introduce yourselves.
Good afternoon, Chairperson and officials. I'm Regan Allen.
Good afternoon, Chairperson and colleagues. I'm Gillian Bosman.
Good afternoon, Chair. It's Mesuli Kama.
Thank you. Then I see that we have Mr. Ben Daza, the Senior Procedural Officer, also with us. Welcome, Mr. Ben Daza. And then welcome our very capable Procedural Officer, Wasima Hassan Musa. Thank you very much for all the logistics around making this Standing Committee meeting happen. Thank you very much, Wasima. In regards to apologies, members, I have received an apology from the Honourable Ferlin Christians, so he will not join the meeting today. Any apologies that you have received that I have not?
Chair, from my side, that's the only apology I have received.
Thank you very much. So now to go on with the business of the day, members, we are considering all the oversight reports, and we shall start with the report dated the 17th of June. And I know that all of you have received the report, and I am of the opinion that you have gone through the report. So I shall immediately start. I am on page 1, members. Wasima, if you could perhaps flight the report for us.
I'm busy doing so, Chair.
Thank you very much.
Check if I've got the right one going up. See. Nope. Just give me a second. Hold on a second, Chair. There's a little bit of a issue.
I can share it as well, Wasima, if you'd like.
Sure. I just want to check if I've got the right one here. Here we go.
Are you able to share, Wasima?
Yes, I've got it open.
Okay.
There we go. Let me just share.
All right. Okay. We're not seeing anything yet.
It's gonna come up now. That's not showing on my side. This one.
And
it's not showing.
Can we ask Member Bosman to assist us from you? There we see something.
Okay. There we go. Thank you, Member Bosman.
Okay. Okay, Member Bosman. Page 1.
Able to see it?
Yeah, we're able to see the front page.
Okay, I can't seem to see it.
Oh. Gremlins, Wasima.
Is it moving?
Okay.
Yes,
Yes,
it
it's
is.
moving. It's moving.
Okay.
Here we go. Page 1, members. You have gone through the report. Any amendments? Just check the delegation present on that day, whether your name is correctly recorded as in present or absent. You moving too fast? Page 2. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. And then page 5, which is the information requested and the conclusion. Members, can I have a proposer and a seconder if there are no amendments?
Chairperson,
Yes.
I read it beforehand as well, and I'm happy to move that we adopt.
Okay, thank you very much, Member Allen. Can I have a seconder for that proposal? Members, a seconder for the proposal to adopt this report?
Chair, it has to be Member Kama because I was not there.
Member Kama?
Apologies, Chair. I second.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Member Bosman. The 17th of July, we were that report now, page 1. And please ensure that you were present or absent on the day. I'm moving to page 2. Page 3. Page 4. And then the last page, which is page 5. And it contains the resolution there. Members, can I ask for a proposer and a seconder to adopt?
Chair, Regan Allen, I move that we adopt.
Thank you very much. I would need Member Bosman was not with, neither was Member Kama on the day. So it leaves me.
Yes, Chair, I believe you are able to.
Yeah, it leaves me then to adopt. So we're adopting. Thank you. I am with the report dated the 22nd of July. Oh, yeah.
Again, I seem to have gremlins.
Seem to have gremlins in the system of this afternoon.
Yeah.
We're always so well organized.
Yeah. Member
Are you not
Bosman?
able to flight it? Member Bosman, are you able to assist?
See.
I'm trying to. Microsoft Teams seems to be doing its own thing today.
Do we
my
have IT assistants with us?
Clarence? Not able to.
Do we not have IT assistants? Clarence
We
is
do
here.
have.
Clarence also.
I'm just
Clarence.
You have assistance. I can't respond verbally. My voice is gone.
Who's that?
Clarence.
Is that Clarence?
Yes.
Welcome, Clarence. Are you just able to assist us into flighting the report on the screen?
Okay, let me see.
Wasima, it seems to struggle.
Wasima, can you just left out for me and come back into the system? into the meeting.
Okay. Solved. I've joined again.
Okay, try sharing again.
There we go.
Okay. All right, you've got a way to get rid of the gremlin. So members, continuing, we're on the report dated the 22nd of July. And please check on page 1 your presence or absenteeism on that day. I'm moving to page 2. I'm going on to page 3. There is the recommendations on the first visit. And then the report starts with the second visit on that particular day on page 3. Then I move to page 4, which concludes the second visit. Here's the recommendations and the conclusion. Members, may I request a proposer and a seconder to adopt this report?
Chair, I move that we adopt.
Thank you, Member Allen.
Chair, I second the adoption.
Thank you very much, Member Kama. Moving on, report dated the 18th of August. Members, on page 1, please ensure that you have been recorded correctly as present or absent. I move to page 2.
Chairperson,
Yes, sir.
on page 2, 3.3.1,
Yes.
if you could just add the plural there for plastic aprons, which was not been received.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's the amendment, Wasima, on page 2, 3.3.1. Adding the S. I'm moving to page 3. And page 3 contains the recommendations and the conclusion, and that is the end of the report. Members, may I request of you a proposer and a seconder to adopt this report?
I propose that we adopt the report, Chairperson.
Thank you, Member Gillian. Bosman? A seconder?
I will second. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, members. That takes care of the report that we have, of the reports that we have handled. Thank you. Of the oversights that we have embarked on. Yes, Wasima.
Member Said is just struggling to get onto the internet. He's just asked that he will, as soon as Siraj sorts him out, he will log on.
Okay, thank you very much for that. We are now, do we have Advocate Master on?
Chair, we still got the 2 sets of minutes before we get to Advocate Master.
Sorry. Members, I'm doing the consideration of the draft minutes dated the 15th of September. My apologies for that one. Are you flighting?
There we go.
Okay, members, we have page 1, and ensure that your names are recorded correctly as present or absent. Thank you. Go on. Members, I am on page 2. Thank you, and that is minutes. May I have a proposer and a seconder for
The
us.
first adopt, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Member Bosman.
Seconded.
Thank you, Member Allen. The minutes is duly adopted. Please flight the minutes of dated on the 13th of October. Members, once again, check that your names is recorded correctly on page 1. Thank you. We may move on. Members, that is it, page 2 for this minutes, sets of minutes. May I then request a proposer and a seconder?
Gillian Bosman proposes, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Member Bosman. As the proposer, a seconder?
Seconded, Chair.
Thank you very much. Member Allen, was that Member Allen? Member Allen,
Yes,
was
Chair.
that? Okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you. Then that set of minutes dated the 13th of October, that draft minutes is then duly adopted. Members, we move to number 12 on our agenda. Wasima, I'm checking with you. Are we good to go?
I'm just getting hold of the legal advisor to make sure that he's
Okay.
on. and I can see on.
Can we just have a break until he comes on?
Sure.
Okay, we're just pausing until he comes on. Members, don't lose the lose your connection. Members, we are just waiting to for Wasima to get hold of Advocate Maastop. And then members, in the meantime, please may I ask that you mute your mics. Okile, may I please ask for you to mute your mic? Honorable Karma, I note you.
Thanks, Chair. Sorry, I was on a call earlier on. I don't know if it has been indicated that Member Said is in his office, but IT is trying to assist him to log in. He has been trying to get in since 1 o'clock.
Yes, we had the message from Wasima. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Is that a new hand for you, Member Karma?
No, apologies. It's the old one.
Wasima?
Yeah.
Wasima?
Hi, Chair. Yes, Chair.
Yes, any joy?
No joy, Chair. I'm still trying to get hold of him.
I want to
Venus,
continue.
do you want to look at the legal advice and go through it while we try and make contact with him in the background?
I'm going to give, what is it now? 13:22. I'm going to give you, I'm going to give time until 25 past, then I will continue.
Okay. Thank you, Chair.
It has gone 25 past.
Chair, I haven't gotten hold of him.
Okay, we're going to continue, members. We all have received the legal opinion from the Advocate Barsdorp. Now, I'm not a legal eagle. I have gone through it. What I think we should then, in the light of the advocate not being present, all we can do is, if we were going to pose questions to him, clarifying questions regarding the content of this legal opinion. And Wasima must guide me here now. In the light of him being not present in this meeting, I would then want to go the route of, if there are clarifying questions, that we put it in writing and that we then forward it to him. But I'm taking guidance from you members as to how to proceed with this. Member Bosman, I note you.
Chairperson, I think we can proceed without Advocate Marsdorp. I think once the language in the legal opinion is not complicated, I understand the legal opinion, and within the context of what we asked Advocate Marsdorp to do, I think he's done that.
Mm-hmm.
I think, if I remember correctly, we asked Mr. Marsdorp to give us an interpretation of Section 16, Section 7 of the Public Service Act, and he's done that. Yeah. And we have a very clear understanding based on this legal opinion what the legislation means when it refers to Parliament with a big P. So I think we continue without that, and I don't think we need to submit questions in writing. I think we need to conclude this matter.
Okay.
And we must accept the legal opinion, and we must accept what the legal opinion is telling us, is that the Commissioner Goosen in his report has misinterpreted the word Parliament as it's referenced in Section 16(7), because as Advocate Marsdorp points out in the legal opinion, the Act makes reference to the provincial Parliament and provincial departments in various parts of it, and the drafters of the Act were fully aware of the provincial dynamic of the Act. So I think we should continue in that vein, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Member Bosman. Wasima, I'm going to pause with you and I'm going to go over to Member Kama. Unless you want to indicate to us of where the Advocate Marsdorp is.
He's in the meeting, Chair.
Is he in the meeting?
Yes, Chair.
Okay. Thank you very much, Advocate Marsdorp. Welcome to this meeting. I'm not sure, sir, whether you have heard what Member Bosman has just said.
I got the bottom end of it, but before I just respond to anything, I was, I'm sorry, I'm late in the meeting. I was very much available and able to join the meeting at 1 o'clock, but I was led to believe that the meeting will first engage itself with various reports and I think minutes, and I was only expected to join around 2 o'clock. So if that has changed, it was without my knowledge, but I pardon the late arrival in the meeting then.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, the meeting concluded earlier with its other matters, but thank you for joining us earlier than we have confirmed with you. So thank you very much for your availability. Members, I'm going to ask now, Member Bosman, I'm going to ask when I give you an opportunity that you just speak to your point again. Member Kama, I'm going to ask you if you can withhold the question or the input that you have. And then I'm going to ask Advocate Marsdorp just to summarize his content on his legal opinion that he has forwarded to us. If that's okay, Member Kama, Member Bosman, then I'll ask Advocate.
Yes, Chair. I can hear you.
You may then proceed, sir. Just to give us a summary of the legal opinion that we have received from you, sir.
Good, so I must say that the bottom end of what Member Bosman has mentioned has stayed with me, in the sense that the opinion is sufficiently explicit in its unpacking and interpretation of the provision of Section 16(7). I must maybe just as a full-on context inform the committee that I did that opinion on the request of the Speaker's office way in September. That's why you will see the opinion is dated September. And fortuitously, it was a similar request that came from this committee. And with the permission of the Secretary, I deemed it prudent to forward the opinion unrevised to this committee. So this committee is seized with my opinion, which is the exact verbatim opinion of what was provided to the Office of the Speaker in this regard. Having said that, let me put the following out there. That, and I think I used words to the effect in this opinion, that I find it somewhat unfathomable that the commissioner, the Provincial Public Service Commissioner, got it wrong in terms of the very act which defines his mandate, the Public Service Act. He got it wrong. And in getting it wrong, he was ably supported by two other individuals who co-signed his report. The three of them effortlessly got it wrong in terms of the role of Parliament, the role of Provincial Parliament with regard to the approval or otherwise of Mr. Schroeder's contract or any other contract entered into in terms of Section 16(7). The Public Service Act never refers or referred to in any of its iterations since 1994 to a role to be played by the Provincial Parliament when needing to approve a contract post-retirement regarding an HOD at least. And their opinion simply set out to show that in an instance where the word Parliament is used, at least in this Act, that the reference and the unmistakable interpretation is to National Parliament. Nowhere in the definitions of this Act, nowhere in the text throughout this Act, nowhere even in the context of any of the provisions throughout this Act, is there an indication that a literal reference to Parliament shall be or is interchangeable with a reference to Provincial Parliament. In his report, the Commissioner, and in particular in Clause 9 of his report, the Commissioner said, sorry, Clause 5.9, the Commissioner says, and I will read it now, and I read the Commissioner's finding in Clause 5.9. He says, the key provision of Section 16 sub 7 is the extension of the employment contract beyond a 24-month period for officers at age 65 years and older. Then, alarmingly, the Commissioner continues. He says, the provision is unambiguous by explicitly stating that the approval of the Provincial Parliament by resolution must be sought in this instance. That is patently wrong, and I'm not sure where he derived it from, but it appears as if Mr. Goosen took generous liberty to insert the word provincial before the word Parliament in order to state what he is saying, that the provision is unambiguous by explicitly stating. The provision isn't unclear, but it does not explicitly state that the approval of Provincial Parliament is necessary. That's his own insertion, that is his own fabrication, which makes his clause 5.9 patently incorrect. And I'm sure that this committee, mindful of its constitutional powers, mindful also of a commissioner's reporting responsibility to this legislature, I'm sure that this committee will deal with that issue when it deems it necessary to summons Mr. Goosen to Provincial Parliament. So in short, Chair, the strekking van my opinie, the reach of my opinion is simply to the effect that what is necessary is the approval of Parliament, that the reference in section 16.7 of the Act is a reference without a doubt to national parliament and not to provincial parliament, which in turn then means that provincial parliament is not and was never intended to be seized with this matter. That's what I told the Speaker even in early September. We have no legal role to play. There's no legal obligation or onus on us to do anything. We are not seized with this. Why it is in front of us is because of an erroneous, inexplicable interpretation by the Commissioner when he submitted his report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Advocate, for that summary in regard to your legal opinion expressed. I'm going to take questions. Member Bosman, I'm going to note you once more. And then Member Kama, your hand was up before. Good afternoon, Member Sayed. I see you. So I'm going to start with Member Bosman.
Chair, I don't have a question. I think Member Advocate Marsdorp has just clarified what I was thinking. So I'll allow the other members to go ahead, and if I have a question, I'll ask it, but I'll take an opportunity later on once we've exhausted questions.
Okay, thank you. Member Kama.
Thank you very much, Chair. And let me also welcome the brief summary that was given by Advocate Marsdorp. Chair, I also want to, from the onset, say that I'm not also a legal certified mind, if there's something like that. But what I want to also understand in that, Chair, because I think in the opinion that were given, I think there's a paragraph where the advocate tries really to take us through in trying to find out what maybe could have led to the commissioner to interchangeably use the word parliament as that of provincial parliament. Now, I was trying to look at, Chair, if there is a point of trying to get clarity from the advocate, if we can try to engage me on, I don't know if I would be using the right phrase, if I speak on what maybe might have been a principle of this act in so far as to deal with the issue of the approval that has to be sought from Parliament, which is a legislative arm of the state that has a responsibility to also exercise oversight over government. Now, I want to check with the advocate if I don't know, because it says really in his engagement with the speaker, he advised that we were not, or obliged to make that approval. I then just want to check, is it not just a matter of process then? Because what is clear there is that there is an approval of Parliament that has to be sought, whether through our Parliament or through our Speaker requesting that approval to the national Parliament or not. So I'm trying to really get chair from the advocate if the principle of what or ought should have happened might not suggest that that should have been requested through us to the national Parliament. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Syed, Member Syed.
Thank you, Chair. And my apologies for being late. I was having technical problems and the IT team had to come to the office to sort it out. Chair, I think I've been largely covered by Member Kama. We welcome, we hear the legal opinion of the legal advisor, Mr. Masdo, Advocate Masdo. We hear it. And obviously, I would like to, I think after the questions are done, we'll also make some proposals. I don't want to do that now. But I wanted some clarity, because if I hear the advocate and I'm reading the document, he's not necessarily saying that this item shouldn't have gone to a legislative body. It's saying it should have gone into national parliament, and that the commissioner was wrong in saying provincial parliament. Now I understand also here we call ourselves provincial parliament. Maybe we should then relook at what we call ourselves. It's just a tongue in cheek. But I mean, the main issue here is that I wanted clarity on is what do we as the committee that holds the executive in government in the province accountable, particularly for issues of education, what do we then do to ensure that the executive authority goes to national parliament to actually get this approval that it's supposed to have gotten? So even though they didn't need to come to us to get the approval, what do we do to ensure that they have to actually go to National Assembly or to National Parliament to get that? And what is the role of the NCOP in this regard, given that NCOP delegates to National Parliament are delegates of the provincial legislature? Thank you. That's just my question of clarity. I'll say more when it's a conclusion and we give the
Thank you.
proposals. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Bosman. Member Bosman, I note your hand.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chair, I'd also like to just get clarity from Advocate Master, because I've heard Member Kama now interpret it one way and Member Syed also. Can the legal advisor please give us guidance on whether the Public Service Act says that the provincial government has to get concurrence from the national parliament to make changes to the contract of an HOD at a provincial level, because I've never heard of that being done. And then the other question I'd like to get clarity on, in terms of moving forward, this decision was taken at cabinet at the level of the DG of the province with the Premier. So in terms of oversight of the executive, does it fall within the remit of this committee, or does it fall under the remit of the committee that looks at Premier and constitutional issues? Those are my two questions for now, Chair.
Thank you very much. Advocate Marsdorp, can I give back to you for your responses in regard to the questions?
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, the answers to all the questions are in the Public Service Act. For starters, a process is a process, and nowhere throughout the Act have I come across an instance where a principle is deemed or construed to be a process. The Public Service Commission is a creature of statute. It derives its being, it derives its essence, its mandate, its terms of reference from the script of the law. Where that script is unclear, we use principles of interpretation of statutes to seek clarity. We use case law to corroborate whatever interpretation we may have stumbled upon, etc. As a creature of statute, the Public Service Commissioner derives its framework, its mandate, its reference from the Act. Where section 16.7 of that Act says that the approval of Parliament must be sought. That is what the Act says. That is the express and literal provision that we must give life to. It is unfortunate that the Public Service Commissioner got the application and interpretation of his own Act wrong, causing us now to be seized and occupied and overly occupied with this matter. That's the first point. So there's no issue regarding a conflation of principle and process. Let's read what is in the Act. Let's not read what we would like to see in the Act. That's the first observation. The issue regarding the National Assembly and the NCOP, I would not want to venture in. I somehow get a sense from member Khalid Sayed that he asks, how do we ensure that the right process is followed? I'm not sure whether that is a legal question for starters, but if I should venture the following, we cannot ensure that as a committee, because we are not in the process, we are not in the equation. We are not part of the story. If Mr. Goosen got it right, we would have had other oversight issues in front of us now as a committee. The Act ensures that a proper interpretation and a resultant proper application of the Public Service Act is what ensures a proper oversight. Provincial Parliament has no role to play in respect of that, as far as this issue, and in particular, in other words, the interpretation of Parliament, and in particular, their capacity or authority to extend Mr. Schroeder's contract is concerned. And in the same vein, there's no need for provincial government to give concurrence, because the Act doesn't say it. There can be an opportunity, because this is an acutely provincial matter, because it deals with a matter which is slap bang within the service delivery domain, education. There may very well be, Mr. Sayed, a plausible argument to be made for the Act to provide that concurrence or even consultation with the provincial parliament should be explored, so that those in the province can have a direct bearing on an outcome, such as the extension of a person's contract 3 years after his retirement. So I can certainly agree that there is a plausible prospect for an amendment in that regard, because it just makes for good governance, it makes for good oversight, and it keeps a matter that has a provincial bearing. It keeps it within the headlights of a provincial committee such as ours now. So I think that's a good observation, and there's certainly grounds for that kind of amendment to seek the concurrence of a provincial oversight body such as ours. That for now, Chair. I hope I covered all the sentiments that were raised in the questions, but that's for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Advocate Marsdorp. Members, Member Bosman, I'm just coming back to you. You said you did not have a question, but you wanted to pose after the questions. Is that still your intention, or can I pass on that?
You can pass on that, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Member Karma, I note your hand.
Thank you very much, Chair. And perhaps, Chair, let me first put it on record that I think maybe the advocate should focus more on giving the legal advice than characterizing our questions. Because even now I have not received the clarity that I'm looking for in terms of what the clause requires. Because I think it's linked to what Member Bosman also was asking at the end, in terms of what does that section of the Act require? Is it, as he puts it, that you read it as you see it, that it requires the provincial government to seek approval from the national parliament? Is that what is required in that clause of the Act? Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Member Karma. Advocate Marsdorp.
Chair, is Member Karma requesting that an interpretation be given of section 16.7? Is that what he's requesting now?
Member Karma, can you clarify for Advocate Marsdorp?
Thank you very much, Chair. In my question earlier, Chair, I indicated that I am not a legally certified.
Legal?
Yes. So hence I was asking because, and I even said I don't know even if I'm using the right phrase thereof when I say if we look at what the principle of this section requires, as it says that the approval should be sought from a certain arm of the state that is responsible for exercising oversight over government. Hence, I was then saying it might just be a matter of process thereof. If you are to say that we request it through the parliament or whatsoever that it may after be, but I'm asking as to because we want certain things, us as members of the committee, that at the end of the day must take decision of how we move on the matter, and we must do that out of being clarified as to what does the section itself mean, so that we're able to then move forward. Thanks, Chair.
Advocate Marsdorp, but is then to clarify that section 16.7.
Chair, and I really thought, with respect, that the opinion was the product that clarifies that, because I'm not sure how different this question is to the, or how different my answer will be now to what is the summary I gave earlier, as well as the opinion as a whole. And I am sure that the member has read the opinion in its full extent. But what Section 16.7 provides is, and I will read it for the record and completeness, is that it says, and I quote now, if it is in the public interest to retain an officer other than a member of the services or an educator or a member of the security agency in his or her post beyond the age at which he or she is required to be retired, he may, with his consent and with the approval of the executive authority, be retained from time to time for further periods, which shall not, except with the approval of Parliament, exceed in aggregate 2 years. Mr. Schroeder retired at 65. It was deemed by the executive authority at the time, in other words, the MEC, that this officer needs to be retained beyond the retirement age. It was then incumbent on that executive authority, with the consent of the officer, to approve that further retention of the officer, but that the duration of that continued retention can only happen for 2 years at a time, but only if Parliament has given approval with the necessary resolution. That is the deconstructed version of what Section 16.7 says. So very explicitly and expressly it says that someone beyond retirement who needs to be retained for whatever reason, it could be experience, it could be institutional stability, whatever the reasons are, an executive authority with the consent of that person may extend that person's tenure for periods of 2 years at a time with the approval of Parliament. That is the interpretation of 16.7. And just to underline this, the approval of Parliament is a direct reference to National Assembly. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Advocate Marsdorp. And members, I trust that all the questions has been answered. If there are no questions, any further questions of clarity, you have posed all of yours, I want to say thank you very much to...
Sorry, Chair.
Yes?
No, sorry. Thanks, Chair. I actually wanted to ask another question, which was perhaps going to be directed to you, Chair, in terms of, because I see the minutes we just recently in this meeting that we adopted, that
October.
Yes, that there were, I think there were two parts of what we had requested from the legal advice office. One being with this one of section 16 section 7, but the other point there was also on clarification of the legal status in terms of the very same act with regards to Mr. Schroeder's status, what his status is as an employee or as like what is it defined as chair. I think if I read it, if you want me to just read it all, Chair, in 4.2, to provide clarification on what the legal status in terms of the Public Service Act of 1994 with regards to what Mr. Shuda's status is as an employee, as a Public Service Act clearly separates an employee of the public service from a contractor, which a head of department is. The Standing Committee on Education needs to get a clear understanding of what the legal framework and what is meant when we talk about the retirement and retention of services. Does it or how does it apply to employees of the public service, and how it apply to contractors, which the head of department is?
Okay, thank you very much. I will ask you to let us talk to that in our deliberations in-house, if that is in order with you.
That's in order, Chair.
Thank you very much. Members, then at this point in time, I want to say thank you very much for the advocate for availing himself to this committee and to talk to his legal opinion that he has submitted to the Standing Committee. Advocate Marsdorp, thank you very much for indulging us as this committee and to answer on the questions of clarification that we had on the legal opinion that you have submitted.
Thank you,
So, okay, at this point in time, sir, I want to say thank you very much. And I want to then say that we will excuse you from the Standing Committee meeting. We are now going to do our in-house tasks.
Certainly. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Members, thank you. We shall now do our in-house task, and we have concluded on the reports. There is a matter that Member Kama has just brought up in regards to the minutes. And my question to that is that in terms of the SG, and you know, as per name, Mr. Schroeder's contract of employment comes to an end on the 31st of March. And a new SG has already been appointed who have started, but who will start on the 1st of April 2021. My question, therefore, is in regard to that minutes, is that still of matter to this committee? I'm putting it back to you. I'm taking your input on that.
Thanks, Chair. I don't know, Chair, perhaps if you can also assist me in this, because I thought that the opinion then that we also required had a bearing, for lack of a better word, to what we are specifically dealing with now, so that we may understand in whatever interpretation or way that we move forward. I understand the question to be, Chair, not necessarily about Mr. Schroeder as a person, but wanted to get an understanding in terms of him being an employee of the department or a contractor, if I put it well, Chair, so that we have that legal understanding, than it just being a question of whether he is still in the position or is going to go out of the position. But as a question in regard to the understanding of him being an HOD or an employee of the department. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. I hear what you are saying. Member Bosman?
Chair, I don't think that that falls within the remit of this committee, because ultimately it's not the Department of Education that appoints the HOD, it's Cabinet. And I don't think we can dictate to Cabinet in terms of how it needs to conduct its business. I think we also need to be mindful of the fact that the report that Mr. Goosen tabled in Parliament, I need to also understand, was that a draft report or was that a final report? Because if I remember correctly, that report didn't take into account the response from the Premier and the DG of the province that was sent on the 23rd of July. And in light of the legal opinion that we've just received, I'm slightly alarmed at what the intent of the Public Service Commissioner was by rushing through this report. What I've taken away from this is that there's something very sinister about the way the report was written and the way the report was interpreted. And for the Public Service Commissioner to not even make contact with the Department of Public Service and Administration before issuing a draft report, I'm very uncomfortable with that type of conduct as well, Chair, especially if I've just reread the section of the Constitution that deals with the role of the Public Service Commission. So I just wanted to say that before we move any further. We need to just ascertain in terms of whether this is is it a final report? I've no record of the Public Service Commissioner engaging with DPSA to find out what their position on it is, because we do understand that this decision was taken on advice from the Department of Public Service and Administration. So I think, Chair, we need to conclude this process and accept the legal opinion and accept that the Public Service Commissioner has made an error here in his interpretation of the very legal framework that governs how the Public Service Commissioner is supposed to operate. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Member Bosman. Member Sayed?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I hear Member Kama and Member Bosman. Chair, I think what we've received, let me first take us back. What we received a few months ago was the Premier's input and analysis of the Public Service Commissioner's report. However filled with problems the report perceivably is, we got the Premier's understanding and analysis thereof, which was correct. It was good. We called the Premier, we had the Premier speaking to it, yet the Premier doesn't account to this committee. The Premier accounts to the Committee on the Department of the Premier. But nevertheless, we called the Premier, and there was no objection to that. So we had the Premier. Premier gave his view. We then we then sought a legal opinion, which we've received now. And there's a particular perspective based on the legal opinion. Members are also expressing themselves on the Public Service Commissioner, on the content of his report. I think at this point, even though we may accept the legal opinion, I think it's only fair within the context of governance, within the context of what is being said about the Public Service Commissioner. I think it's only fair that we call the Public Service Commissioner to actually account and explain himself to this particular committee. Not that this committee has direct oversight over the Public Service Commissioner, but the issues which the Public Service Commissioner has spoken about, wrongly or rightfully so, has a bearing on education. It speaks to our portfolio. So I think I want to propose that we call the Public Service Commissioner to this particular meeting, given the backdrop of what we've heard from the Premier, what we've heard now from the Advocate, and to say, look, can you please explain yourself? And further to say that let's invite the Committee on the Premier to also be part of that particular meeting.
Thank you. Members, remember, in regard to the Member Bosman, I note your hand again.
Chair, you can go ahead. I'll wait till after you.
Okay, all right. In regard to recommendations made when we had the Premier and we had the DG in front of this committee, there was recommendations made, and remember on the day the DG as well as the Premier has indicated to this committee that they have requested from the Public Service Commissioner a follow-up report. And we are still waiting on that. We have not received it. Okay. So I would say that in regard to what Member Sayed is saying, that we have to wait on the report, the follow-up report from the Public Service Commissioner. And also rightfully said by Member Sayed that this committee does not have direct oversight over the Public Service Commissioner. It is within the domain of the Standing Committee on the Department of the Premier. So I would not necessarily call the Public Service Commissioner to this committee. Members Bosman and then Member Kama.
Chair, I want to agree with you that we should not call the Public Service Commissioner to this committee. I think what we set out to do was to gather information to satisfy ourselves when making a decision on this. And we've now done that. The Public Service Commissioner has submitted a report, and that report was submitted to us via the Office of the Speaker. That report has not been updated, as you've just rightfully mentioned. We've also got in front of us the correspondence between the Premier and the Public Service Commission. I haven't seen any updated correspondence from the Commissioner to the Premier. And we've also got in front of us a legal opinion which the Western Cape Provincial Parliament has provided us. And in that legal opinion, it states there that the Public Service Commissioner has interpreted the legislation differently to what the intent of the legislation was. And it states very clearly there that Parliament is in reference to the National Assembly or the National Council of Provinces. And that section 16(7) of the Public Service Act does not contemplate the imposition of any legal obligation on the Western Cape Provincial Parliament. So there's no sense of irregularity in the extension. Mr. Shearer has completed his service to the Western Cape Provincial Government with exemplary skill, and he's been in this department for a long time. And I think by dragging this matter out any further, we're just creating further newspaper headlines where none exists. I think the interpretation of the legal opinion is very clear. And I think we need to close this matter going forward unless the Public Service Commissioner provides an updated report or the Public Service Commissioner provides any further information. Because we haven't had that. And we also, from the report that we've got from the Public Service Commissioner, we don't have the actual complaint and the supporting documents that went with that as well. We just have a 9-page report without any of the annexures even as well. So in my opinion, Chair, I think we've got, with the legal opinion, sufficient information to say that we've looked into this matter, we've exhausted it. The Premier and the Cabinet acted within the advice given to them by the Public Service Department, the National Public Service Department, and there's no legal obligation on us to say that the provincial government had to provide concurrence here. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Member Kama, I noted you, and then I note Member Sayed.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, from the onset, I must say that us closing this matter at this particular stage is really best defined as us completely refusing to exercise our responsibility of oversight over the government. I'm saying this, Chair, because the irony here is that I think earlier Member Bosman speaks about not understanding why the commissioner, the public service commissioner, rushed the report. But the irony is that we want to in turn rush the process of dealing with this matter, because this is an opportunity for us to exercise oversight. Reality, Chair, is that I'm really wondering what could even that office be saying, because there are many things, Chair, and a very serious language which has been used in the legal opinion that we have received against another institution of the state. And it is only fair, Chair, because we have an interest of exercising oversight fully, to give an opportunity to the Public Service Commission to in light of what we have been given, Chair, in light of all even the legal opinion that we have been given, respond to these questions so that we can be comfortable at the end of the day as the committee to then later say, was there something wrong in this process or not? And really to conclude now and say there was nothing wrong, it's really a view of the member than that of the committee. Because, Chair, the reason why I was even in the questions I was asking the legal advisor on the issue of the parliament and the principle that there should have been an approval. And what we are not getting is whether there was an approval. There's nothing that comes forth to say there was an approval. And if that's the case, then there's an issue that we need to be worried about and that the committee needs to deal with. So it's really an irony, Chair, that we would want to really process this thing and cut over it without getting all the parties involved to give their side of the story. I don't know where has it happened, Chair, that we discuss a report and want to conclude on an issue without even getting a view from the people that wrote the report, the advocate in the legal opinion, Chair, because this is a legal opinion which should assist us as members to be able, because at the end of the day, if we do not exercise our responsibility of oversight, it's us as members who must be held accountable, not the legal advice office. We accept that we have been given a legal opinion, and this opinion, Chair, goes to a point of saying that the advocate says it does not in any way in law understand where the commissioner, and supported by the two signatories, where they could have got to use the word parliament interchangeably. So there's a serious doubt that is casted, Chair, in law in terms of the question of this thing. And I believe that it is only a logical, Chair, that we must get the side of the commissioner so that we get an understanding of how did even the commissioner arrive at the point of wanting to use this word interchangeably and other issues that involve this particular matter. Really, to rush in, Chair, it's us divorcing ourselves from our responsibility of oversight.
Thank you. I differ from you to say that this standing committee has played a part in its oversight role in this matter. What we have requested, we have received, and we have received the documentation. What is outstanding is the matter of a follow-up report from the Public Service Commissioner. Up until now, we have not received any feedback from the Public Service Commissioner. So I'm just putting that out there. Member Sayed?
Chair, I think I've been largely covered by Member Kama. Just to say, Chair, that as a matter of principle, we've never entered into this discussion, and we will not continue in this discussion in the public domain for the purpose of undermining the current SG. We've got the utmost respect for the current SG. I want to put that on record, and we continue to work with him to this very day. But I want to say that, Chair, we must not, as a committee, fall into a space of not wanting to exhaust matters to the fullest because we fear that issues are going to make media headlines. The media are essentially there, and they're part and parcel of our meetings so that they can bring to the public the matters that we are taking up, which are of public importance and public interest, matters of accountability of the state. So I want to again just re-emphasize and state that we have not exhausted the matter completely. The mere fact that everybody who's got a perspective on the issue, whether it be Member Bosman, myself, Member Kama, whether it be the advocate, the Premier, everybody has been heard in this particular committee, except for the Public Service Commissioner. We are forming opinions, we are saying things about the Commissioner, we are hearing things, but the Commissioner is not being given an opportunity. I don't think there's any harm to even just call the Commissioner, to have a meeting, call the Commissioner, hear from him, and then see if we conclude and what we say after that. So I just want to reiterate what Member Kama has said and to say that it's important that we have the Commissioner here.
Thank you, Member Allen.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chairperson. I've noted the comments from Member Bosman, Member Kama, as well as Member Syed. As much as I understand where we're currently at, I still hold a view that in terms of the Education Committee, I believe we have reached a matter where we are able to, in all good conscience, actually close this matter, as this matter would probably best be dealt with if it's been considered by the Premier's committee. Because the Commissioner appeared there as well, and it's going to be a back and forth, Chairperson, and I think it's going for us to somehow get to consensus or vote or whatever we need to do in order to bring this matter in terms of what the Education Standing Committee can do. But I firmly believe that this matter is best placed to be dealt with in a different committee, if it's the Premier, and not necessarily the Education. As Member Bosman indicated, again, it's Cabinet. And with the Premier being the head of the Cabinet, doing the appointments of the HODs. So that would be my view. But I fully understand what Member Kama and Member Syed is saying. But I feel if we can consider that route and close it here in the Education Committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I must just check now with members Syed and Bosman. Is that new hands for you? No, Member Bosman has put down. Thank you. Member Allen, your hand is still raised. And Member Bosman, your hand is still raised.
I can't lower it. Sorry, Chair, I'm trying to.
Oh, okay. All right. Members, I want to once again say that we are still waiting on the follow-up report that the Public Service Commissioner, via what we got from the DG and the Premier, we still are waiting on that report. Okay, now we have the proposals here of getting the Public Service Commissioner in front of this committee. Member Bosman, is that still because you can't lower it?
I can't lower it, Chair. Just
Okay,
doesn't
right,
give me the
okay.
option.
Okay, all right. I lowered it. I hope it stays down now. Not that I would not give you an opportunity to speak anytime, any of the members I would. So there's a proposal on the table to close the matter in front of this committee and the other committee dealing with the appointments of senior staff within the Western Cape to deal with it, or who have oversight over the Department of the Premier, let me rather say that. And then there is the call to the proposal to call the Public Service Commissioner. So members, there are those two proposals on the table. Let me just check. Member Karma, is that a new hand for you?
Yes, thanks, Chair. I wanted to actually, Chair, ask a clarity from you as a matter of procedure. Because correctly, Chair, as you are saying and as reflected in the minutes that we adopted in this meeting, that we did not even, Chair, only request the information to obtain the completed report, investigative report, but we also resolved to write to the Speaker and seek clarity on the report, whether it's final or not, which is something that even Member Bosman earlier made reference to. Now, I want to because I'm confused now, Chair, as to the notion now of proposing to close it. Is it on us being able to finalize or to exhaust the matter in the committee, or is it a question of us saying we do not have an oversight role on whether the HOD of a department that accounts to this committee, whether that appointment was irregular or not? Is that what we were proposing now as a direction? Because in the first instance, we resolved and is adopted, reflected in the minutes and adopted, that we want to empower ourselves with many different things that included even the legal opinion. Because we don't really, Chair, this is not how, at least as I understand, this committee has conducted its work through your leadership, Chair, where even when departments had to submit reports and they submit at the late hour, we have given that because as a committee, really, we have always wanted to get an understanding. And as the member side had said, that even when in the first place we had the Premier briefing us, it was not a matter of the Premier's office reporting or accounting to this committee specifically, but it was because of an interest that the committee has, because the HOD is an HOD of the Department of Education. So I just want clarity, Chair, on what we are now proposing as a way forward. Thanks.
Okay, what I am proposing as a way forward is that, as I previously said, that in regard to this matter, the committee has attended to what it has requested in this matter before this committee. So we have done that. What is outstanding is the follow-up report by the Public Service Commissioner that this committee still needs to receive. We have not received any communication from the Public Service Commissioner. And then in regard to having the Public Service Commissioner in front of this committee, I would say that the Public Service Commissioner needs to go to the committee, standing committee on the Department of the Premier, and not come to this committee. The legal opinion that we have received, that we have asked, is, and with a summary of the advocate in regard to the content, is quite straightforward. Now, you have alluded to another legal opinion that we have had in the minute, and that I would attend to in regard to the in regard to the let me just get it so I can use the exact words. Sorry, Wasima, can you just flight that minutes?
Sure, Chair. Just hold on a second. I'm having difficulty flighting from my side again. Hold 1 second.
Okay, it was a 4 under 4 and it was 4.1. 4.2, sorry, this is what Member Kama has referred to earlier, to provide clarification on what the legal status in terms of the Public Servants Act of 1994 with regards to what Mr. Schroeder, head of the Western Cape Education Department, status is as an employer, as the Public Service Act clearly separates an employer of the public service from a contractor, which a head of department is. The Standing Committee on Education needs to get a clear understanding of what the legal framework and what is meant when we talk about the retirement and retention of services. Does it, and how does it apply to employees of the public service, and how does it apply to contractors, which the head of the department is? Now, in regard to the current SG, which is the head of the WCED, I said earlier that the current SG is retiring at the end of March, and a new SG has been appointed, and hence I asked the question whether that is still relevant. And Member Kama then said it's not pertaining to the person, but pertaining to the process, right, Member Kama? That is what you said.
Yes.
Yeah, that is how I understood you. So in terms of that said, yes, I would still ask in terms of a general question referring to contractor or employee, what is the difference? I would ask that. But now I'm saying that in regard to this committee's work, this committee has followed through on its work in regard to this matter in front of the committee. And what is outstanding is paperwork. So I'm putting back to you that the proposal on the table is to close on this matter and wait for the outstanding paperwork that there is. And then the other proposal on the table is the call for the PSC to come in front of this committee. And that is where I am at. So, and in regard to procedurally, I would just ask Mr. Ben Daza to guide us procedurally from here.
Must I come in now, Chair, or
You
what
can
to hear from the members?
You can.
Okay, Chair.
I am saying that we refer in regard to this matter, that I think in regard to education and the appointments or the appointment or the extension of the SG's contract, I am of the opinion that we have exhausted what we need to do in terms of this committee. And what needs to happen next is to go to the standing committee of the Department of the Premier.
Okay. Chair, from our side, procedurally, the committee, it's up to the committee what it wants to do. It's really up to members of the committee. If the committee feels that it has concluded its work and on the matter, I was just reluctant for the committee to express itself on the report without hearing from the commissioner. So I would say maybe the committee can refer it to the standing committee on Premier, and also say to them, maybe you need to call them and indicate to them, we have not called the Public Service Commissioner, because the commissioner can complain and say, well, the committee expressed itself on my report without calling me. And it could, it can sound as unfair to the commissioner, you know. So from our side, and in terms of parliamentary processes, we'll normally call the authors of the report before you can also express yourself. But if the committee feels that this matter belongs to the committee on the Premier, we would be very comfortable with that, and so then the committee can refer to the Standing Committee on Premiership.
Thank you very much. Member Karma, Member Sayed.
Thank you very much, Chair. And Chair, really, I'm not trying to frustrate the work of the committee, but it is exactly out of the understanding that our senior procedural officer has said, because the proposal as it was made by Member Bosman was saying that we believe that the legal opinion we have received is enough. And that's where, Chair, I found difficulties to say, how do we go to a point of concluding that we're closing this matter as the committee, we've exhausted it, without hearing from the authors of the report on their own on the matter, Chair. And that's one thing that I wanted to, but the other thing I wanted to raise earlier, I think it has been responded to, because I wanted to also check if is it out of procedures of Parliament that we are saying no, it must go to the Premier, because, Chair, even the request, I don't agree, Chair, with the sentiment that says what is left now is administrative work, because I don't believe we were requesting the full investigative report from the Public Service Commission for us to have it in our emails, but it was for us to be able to receive it so that we are able to interrogate it, because even the session we had with the Premier, many questions were raised on the side of the Department of the Premier. So we were of the view as the committee that we'll get a report which we're going to be able to look at and interact with, so that we're able to really make a view, unless if the committee now is realizing later that no, this matter must go back to the Premier. That can be the question, and not it be said that we have concluded the matter or we've exhausted the matter.
Thank you. Member Sayed?
Chair, I want to also reiterate what Member Kama says, and I think the procedural officer, Mr. Daza, has, in a sense, expressed the same concern that I'm expressing, is that just for the sake of fairness, for the sake also of perception, the manner in which we are perceived as a committee overseeing education, to conclude on a matter and to express ourselves actually on a public institution and the report of a public institution without actually hearing from them, I really think that's not going to set the correct tone. And also, in the meeting that we had with the Premier, we asked for certain documentation from the Premier's side. Those have not yet come. So we cannot say that we are concluding the matter. And also, what obligation does the Standing Committee on the Premier and Constitutional Affairs have to actually take our request that the matter be referred to them? They're not under any obligation to say, no, we've received this now from education, we must now take the matter. The matter is with us at the moment. My view is, and I maintain, and I know that there's a majority view, but I maintain with Member Kama that it's important still that we call the Public Service Commissioner to this particular committee.
Okay, thank you very much. Members, I hear the views, and I'm still saying that what we have requested from the Public Service Commissioner has not been received. So I'm waiting on that document to be received by this committee. Member Bosman?
Chairperson, in the interest of moving forward, can I propose that we park the issue of inviting the Public Service Commissioner, and we write to the Public Service Commissioner again and ask him to provide the documentation as requested, and that as a resolution of this committee, we ask the Public Service Commission to confirm whether his report, as we have it in front of us, and that's report with case number 1920/02/12/001, is a final report, because I've checked the website of the Public Service Commission and this report is not there. And that the Commission also provides us with all of the annexures that he relied on to make his decision, because the report that we received did not have the annexures, and that also includes the complaint that was lodged on the 11th of February. And then only once we've perused those documents can we then make a decision about whether we invite the Commissioner, because I think we've written to all of the people as we agreed on the 15th of September, and the Public Service Commissioner is the only authority that hasn't provided us with that documentation. So we can then use the legal opinion that we've received, we can use the report, we can use the documentation from the Premier, and then we can make a decision about whether we need to invite the Public Service Commission to also come and present. Because what I'm really interested in is whether the Public Service Commissioner has engaged with the Department of Public Service and Administration, because this piece of legislation deals with their work. So that's my proposal, Chair, that we ask the Commissioner to give us the documentation, and then the committee can then make a decision about whether it wants to invite the Public Service Commissioner. And in that meeting, we invite all of the interested parties, etc. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Member Syed, is your hand up again, or is it from previously?
My hand is up again, Chair.
Okay, right, go.
Chair, I beg to differ with Member Bosman. See, Chair, when we called the Premier, we didn't ask for documents beforehand from the Premier. The Premier got to speak and we've asked for documents after the particular meeting of the 15th of September. Surely, with the Public Service Commissioner, the questions that Member Bosman has now, but whether he spoke to the Public Service, whether he spoke to the Department of Public Service, those can be asked. You will have the Commissioner there in the meeting to ask these particular questions. I don't see the harm. I don't know what's the fear and what's the negative implication of having the Commissioner in the meeting, and also to ask him there in the meeting. We've asked you to give us an updated report. We've asked you for these documentations. Why have you not done so? Surely there's a platform. Surely there's no harm in having such a platform.
Thank you, Member Allen.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. Based on where we currently are now and in the interest of moving forward, I would further support the recommendation made by Member Bosman. I also looked at our program and where we currently are. It just makes sense in order to get the submissions in writing and to then make a determination. We are already in past mid-November, going into the new year already, and it just makes sense to go with that route. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, members. In going forward, I will write to, as the chairperson, I will write to the Public Service Commissioner and ask for the outstanding documentation. When I receive it, I will distribute via the procedural officer to all the members of this committee. And then thereafter, we can plot a date to have the Public Service Commissioner. And I am supporting the proposal of Member Bosman to have all the role players in front of our committee once and for all, so that we can all have the information from all of them. You know, it doesn't become a he say, she say. We all have the role players. We pose all the relevant questions to all of them. That is my way forward for this committee in regard to this matter in front of the committee. Members? Member Allen, your hand is still up. Is it new or is it okay? Thank you. Members, then with your indulgence, we are closing the debate on this issue. That is how we are going to proceed forward in this committee in regard to that matter. Wasima, you have catched all the inputs from all members regarding this matter going forward.
Yes, Chair, and I catch the last recommendation on your way forward on this matter, requesting all that you would write to PSC, requesting the full report and the final report, if any, and then also to invite all role players after that to the committee so that everybody is present.
Thank you very much. Members, in that regard, then, this brings us to the end of our agenda for today. I would like to express thanks for all of you who have attended the standing committee meeting. I know there were some gremlins in the system in regard to logging on or to flighting our documentation. Wasima, once again, thank you very much for all the logistics around doing this meeting today. Ben Daza, thank you very much for the assistance to this committee today. Members, thanks for all your robust questions and input. And then to the IT staff who have assisted us, thank you very much. Members, this standing committee meeting on education is now adjourned. Thank you.